Hello, beautiful people. Today is 25th of May. My name is Sahil, and welcome to Newspaper Analysis. Friends, in today's GS fodder, we will see the value of compassionate capitalism. This particular value has been propagated into the West by Bill Gates and into India by the Narayan Murthy, the founder of Infosys. Now, the philosophy of compassionate capitalism believes that the higher management and higher rung officers should act as the first wall of defense and should insulate the lower level officers and workers from any type of crisis. It also means that the wealth, resources, and property should also be shared with the workers, especially of the lower ones, because the wealth has been created by the cumulative effect. Now, friends, this particular philosophy is relevant now because world over, MNCs are laying off hundreds and thousands of workers because of the shortage into the demand. Though corporates can't sustain at the cost of their survival, but out of profit, if such large families can be sustained, then it should be the first priority. So, friends, there could be a question on this particular line in GS paper number 4. So, please remember the value of compassionate capitalism for your ethics paper. Now, let's start with today's newspaper analysis. This is the page number 1 of the Hindu newspaper, and the first news item that we can see here pertains to the operationality of the flights which was to be begin from today, that is 25th of May. However, there have been confusions with respect to the quarantine norms and the health norms that have to be followed. Now friends, on the one hand, health ministry have given certain norms, and on other hand, the state specific protocols and norms are also there. Now the problem comes when they are at the divergence. For example, Ministry of Health has said that the domestic travelers coming from the airlines need to monitor self monitor their health in 14 days, and if there is some problem they need to report. However, Kerala wants that all the people coming from the high risk zones such as Maharashtra, Delhi should mandatorily go for 7 day of institutional quarantine. So guys, there are various confusions in this respect due to which passengers are confused. Now, if we talk about the international arrivals, then the passengers have to mandatorily agree to 7 days of paid institutional quarantine and 7 days of home isolation. Moreover, a copy of a self declaration should also needed to be given. Now, guys, into some different capacities, 14-day home quarantine is also available for people such as pregnant women, people in distress, the people who have some serious issues in their family, and all that kind of thing. However, in all the category of travels, the use of Arogya Setu app is mandatory. However, friends, no need to go much deeper into these guidelines as they will change in after 7-10 days, so not usable for our exam. Now we'll go to the next. Now, friends, here's a news item on page number 2 where it has been said that there will be the mass layoffs into the automobile sector into the Millennium City. Now, first of all, Millennium City is referred to the Gurugram in Haryana, which, along with the regions such as Manesar and Bawal, constitutes one of the largest automobile manufacturing belt of India. Now, this entire region cumulatively employs nearly 6 million workers and is home to the manufacturing automobile giants such as Maruti, Hero, as well as Honda. Now, it has been said as the demand is very much reduced due to the lockdown restrictions and due to the strain on economy, now these firms and various other original equipment manufacturers will be firing off 40 to 45% of their workforce. Now, first of all, original equipment manufacturer is a person who is manufacturing the products for some other company, and that other company will be branding those products as their own. For example, brakes, wheels, seats of the Suzuki car, they are manufactured by some other company ABC, but they are fitted in their car and branded as the product of Suzuki as their own. So the ones who is making the product is called as OEM. Now guys, wherever there will be a industrial belt, there will be large number of OEMs. Now mostly the workers which are being fired are the contractual workers. Now, friends, into the respect of contractual workers, the Economic Survey of 2016 refers to them as regulatory cholesterol. Now we have to see as what exactly are the contractual workers and then why they are called as regulatory cholesterols. Now friends, as the labor law in India are very much hard, therefore many a times companies ought to hire the contractual workers. Now these workers are those with which companies don't have any written agreement, no kind of social securities are given to them, and these workers are hired from some other third agency, which is the contracting agency. Now this contracting agency's work is only to bring the labor, and this labor is supplied to the different industries, and all these workers which are hired onto the basis of contract are called as contractual workers. Now a question comes that why these contractual workers are hired by the industry. Now there are four reasons for this particular thing. Number one, you know that in India there are large number of labor laws, and abiding to the labor inspector and labor regulation is a very tedious task. So when the contract workers are hired, then the liability of meeting the labor regulation is of contracting agency, and the industry is separed from that particular thing. Then secondly, as the contract workers are not onto the formal payroll of a company, the size of a company in terms of laborer stays small, and it is safeguarded from many of labor laws. For example, Industrial Disputes Act, which is applicable only onto the industry which have more than 100 workers. And friends, you also know this thing that when the industry are small, various concessions or benefits are also given to them. Then there is one more reason. These type of laborers could be fired anytime. Whenever there will be the demand, they will be hired by the contracting agency, and when there is no demand, they will be sent back. So hiring and firing is very much free here. Now, there is one more reason also. Friends, if you remember, we have discussed that every employer needs to pay 12% equivalent of a salary towards two things. One part will go towards the provident fund, and other part will go towards the pension fund. So guys, apart from salary, 12% additional has to be given by the employer, but this is to be only to be given to those who are the formal workforce. And now when the contractual laborers will be brought here, there are no usually written agreements, and the costing onto this particular front will also be reduced. However, government norms are such that benefits should also be given to them, but as you know, the nature of working in India is such that there are no agreements, there are no written things, so therefore costs are saved. Now you might have understood why the contract labor is called as regulatory cholesterol. Friends, in India, labor is called as cholesterol, something which is not required. But contract laborer are called as regulatory cholesterol. Whenever you want, you can bring them. Whenever you want, you can remove them. So they are regulatory in nature. So therefore, they are often called as regulatory cholesterol. Now, the issue comes that how much big is such labor force. So guys, according to the economic survey of 2016, in 1999 there were 12% laborers into the manufacturing sector which were the contractual in nature, but in 2010 the 25% of entire workforce into the manufacturing is of contract nature. So every year it is increasing. Why? Because it is very much easy to go through this particular way. And now the same thing is happening into the Gurugram, where mostly contractual workers will be losing up their job. So friends, it is not just a regional news particularly for the Gurgaon, rather it is a national phenomena which hampers our economic employment patterns. And very much expectedly, a question on this line could be expected. Here, friends, one more question comes that do industries really gain by the contract labor? The answer is actually no. Why? Because when every year new laborers are to be hired, they are to be retrained every year, and therefore, into the longer term, industries also tend to lose. Now, what could be the way forward for this particular thing? Now, first of all, before going into the way forward, we need to see that the DPSPs provides for economic welfare of workers under article number 38, as well as to provide them the humane conditions of work under article number 42. So therefore bringing welfare of the workers is of paramount importance. Now guys, what would could be done here? First of all, we need to reform the labor laws, because primarily the apprehension towards the stringent labor laws are motivating the industries to hire the contractual workers. So flexibility should be given to the industries with respect to the hiring and systematic firing, not on the wishes but on a systematic basis. Number two, on par benefits should be given to the contract laborers also. What salaries, remuneration, and social security benefits are being given to the formal workers, the same should be extended to the contract workers also. And there should be the decentralized approach to monitor whether such things are happening or not. Then, guys, number four, there should be an adequate grievance redressal mechanism for the contractual workers if they are facing the injustice. Moreover, the industry owners needs to follow the philosophy of trusteeship which was given by Mahatma Gandhi, under which they should not act as the owners of wealth, rather guardians of the wealth, and such wealth should be spent for the welfare of their all workforce. So guys, that's all, and now we'll move to the next. Now, friends, we'll take an article from the PIB. So, it is a release from the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Now, in this particular news item, it has been mentioned as how the Katkari tribe of Maharashtra has used the Pradhan Mantri Van Dhan Yojana in self-help group model and how the success has been achieved. So guys, here first of all we will look the Katkari tribe, and secondly we will also see what exactly is Van Dhan Yojana. First of all, the Katkari tribe, which has been mentioned, it is found into the Shahapur in Maharashtra, and this Shahapur is located around the western ghats of Maharashtra. Now, these Katkari tribes have also been notified as primitive vulnerable tribal groups. Now, though there are large number of tribes in India, but certain tribes are even more primitive, even more backward, so some special protection is needed to be given to them. So therefore a classification of PVTG has been made. Now guys, Ministry of Home Affairs have gave 75 tribal groups the recognition as PVTG. Guys, please keep in your mind it is done by the MHA and not by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. And these 75 PVTGs are there into the 18 states and one union territory. And what is that one union territory? It is Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this union territory of Andaman and Nicobar is also important. Now friends, if a question comes that which state has largest number of PVTG, then it is Odisha, which have largest number of PVTGs. Now friends, a question more could be there: what are the bases on which the PVTG tag is given? So these are the four conditions on whose basis PVTG category is given. First of all, pre-agricultural level of technology, stagnant or declining population, then there is extremely low literacy, and the fourth one is subsistence level of economy. Their economy should not be advanced. So on this basis the classification is given, and who gives it? MHA. And now we will look the Vandhan Yojana, and then we'll see that what exactly is the issue. Now first of all, Vandhan Yojana is the scheme for the tribals, and who operates it? So there are two people. One is the Ministry of Tribal Affairs and other is the TriFed, which is an organization to provide the marketability to the tribal products. Now friends, minor forest produce are very much important for the tribals, and nearly 100 million tribals are dependent onto the minor forest produce for their livelihood, food, medicine, as well as these minor forest produce also provides much of the cash income to the people. Now guys, what will happen? First of all, there will be the self help groups which will be formed, and these self help groups will be containing 15 to 20 members, and they will be called as Van Dhan Samhu. Then over this self help group there will be the Van Dhan Kendra. Now what will happen? this Vandhan Vikas Kendra will be having the group of 15 to 20 self-help groups below there. So guys, every self-help groups contains 15 to 20 members. So there will be 300 members under this Vandhan Vikas Kendra, and here the tribals will be provided facilities such as skill development, minor tools will be provided to them, upgradation facilities will be provided to them. Moreover, marketability will also be provided to their minor forest produce. So this particular scheme aims to organize the tribals through self-help groups into the Vandhan Vikas Samoos, and over that Vandhan Vikas Kendras, and a kind of a sustainable livelihood is being provided. Now, friends, Katkari tribe has formed themselves into a self-help groups, and by using the Vandhan Yojana, they are marketing their product, which is Giloi. Now, guys, Giloi is a product which has huge medicinal benefits. So now they are marketing it and are earning their livelihood. And they had even connected with the marketing chains such as VMart, etc. So, friends, this could be an excellent example when you are uprising the tribal initiatives. So, guys, this was all about this particular news. Now we'll move to the next. Now, friends, here's a news item where the IMD had issued the red alert because of the heat wave. Now, first of all, heat waves are very much common into the north and the northwest India into the months of May, June, and July. So, heat waves are severe hot winds that blow into this particular part. Now, guys, IMD issues the alerts, that is the yellow alert, orange alert, and red alert onto the severity of the heat waves. Now, how they are seen? First of all, the baseline temperature is 40 degrees Celsius for plain and 30 degrees Celsius from the hill. So, up to this particular temperature, there is no problem. However, if there is a deviation, for example, if 4 to 5 degrees Celsius more is there, then the heat wave will be declared. However, if the deviation is more than this, if that is a 6 degree, 7 degree, then it will be called as a severe heat wave. And on this basis, the alerts are issued, and the red alert is the highest category of alert, and into this direction various precautions are needed to be taken care of. So guys, this was all, and now the IMD has issued about this. Now if we talk about IMD, then it was established in 1875, and it coordinates all the weather and meteorological data of country. Now guys, IMD is under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, and it is also the regional specialized meteorological center of the World Meteorological Organization. And guys, the headquarter of IMD is located in Delhi, and there are also 6 regional centers. So that's all here, and now we'll move to next. Now, friends, we are into the editorial section, and the first editorial talks about using MG Narega for the employment generation. Now, guys, as lockdown is proceeding, hardship for the people are very much evident, and according to certain reports, such as a survey by the Azim Premji University, it has been found that nearly 74% people are now consuming far less food what they were having before the lockdown began. And similarly, there are large number of people, nearly 80 to 90%, who had not earned any income during the lockdown. So therefore, crises are very much evident, particularly onto the poor and vulnerable sections of society. However, one thing that has happened good is that government has enhanced the allocation of food which the people used to get under the National Food Security Act. However, still there are large number of people, more than 500 million people, who can't access the food under the National Food Security Act. Moreover, even when the people are getting the food, it does not mean that they are getting the adequate nutrition, because the quality of food is not that much good. So therefore, people also need some kind of income in order to live their lives in a better way. Now guys, how this income could be provided? First of all, there could be an idea of universal basic income, in which unconditional cash transfer are provided to the everyone. But seeing the fiscal capacity of India, it might not be possible that everybody should be given a income, or if it will be given, then it will be very much less and nobody will be able to have the benefit. So in this particular respect, MG Narega becomes very much important. Now friends, you know MG Narega is a social security scheme under which people are guaranteed 100 days of employment at the minimum wage for the unskilled type of work. However, this 100 days could be enhanced seeing onto a particular possibility. Now, first of all, though there are large number of problems in MG Narega, such as delayed payment, less payment, corruption, etc., but now the masses are preferring towards the MG Narega because of the desperation which is coming due to the enhanced lockdown. Therefore, suggestion is being made that MG Narega should be used to provide the employability to the people and so that their economic desperation could be relieved. But before going forward, I will explain you certain things which are going on. Now, friends, first of all, there is the old model of MG Narega and then there is the new model of MG Narega. Now, under the old model, what used to happen? There used to be a work site, and onto this work site, the person can go, they can enroll to work here, and they will be given the payment. Now, what has happened? Into the new model, there will be the e-muster role, and under this e-muster role, a person has to be pre-register himself to work, and after that particular thing only he will be given the work onto a particular work site. Now this e-muster role reform has been brought because into the earlier model, the work was given on the site and there was instances that corruption could have been made. There could be a possibility that actually 10 people are working, but a manual muster roll of 20 people might have been prepared, and this is a window for corruption. So therefore this particular reform came. But there is a problem into this new model. Friends, the people who are seeking work under MG Narega, they are poor, they are uneducated, and when they have to enrolled into the e-muster role, there are a lot of technicalities which are involved. So simply they are not able to ask for the work themselves here. Whereas into the earlier model, the process was very much simple. You go onto the site, there will be the work available, take the work and the problem will be solved. Now when we see the situation further, analyze the situation further, we get to know that under this e-muster role concept, the people are getting employment when there is a third party who is himself interested to get the people work, to give the people work under the MG Narega sites. Now who are these third party people? They are the agents who seek some money after enrolling them into the e-muster role, or they could be certain leaders who just on the name of vote bank is enrolling people into the muster role, or he could be a landlord who wants them to work on his private land. So it is seen that if there will be a pattern, they will go and enroll into the MG Narega, but if there will be no pattern, their employability is restricted. So right now the suggestion is being made that into the poor states, large work sites should be made available on the basis of old model. Therefore, the people will come here, they will get work on the site, and with the proper social distancing, they can work here. Now, friends, there is a dire need to provide employability to the large number of people, and if there will be the obstacles such as e-muster role, they might not be able to take the benefit. So, therefore, limited old model needs to be introduced. Moreover, the payments that are being made to the people, that payment method should be the cash, because withdrawing money from the banks is actually a very much problematic thing, and it will also lead to the overcrowding of bank. Now after that, the nature of the work should be such that it can continue throughout the season of monsoon, because usually this is a season when the work sites are closed, so such type of work should be taken here. So now we need that new type of permissible activities should be allowed, which can absorb large population and can provide the work into the monsoon also. Now, guys, there could be an apprehension with respect to the cash method of payment because it is said that by giving the cash, there could be the chances of corruption. But anyhow, into the digital mode also, corruption are being done. First of all, the agents they used to forge the records and they divert the entire income into their own intended accounts. Secondly, large number of people still don't have the account, so they will face a problem in accessing the fund. Now, friends, finally, if we talk about the budgetary constraints into the MG Narega, then there will be not such problem into the short time because, first of all, the budget of MG Narega has been enhanced. Secondly, additional allocation worth rupees 40,000 crore has also been given. So these are the reforms into MG Narega which are needed at the urgent basis. So this was all, and now we'll move to the next. Now, friends, this article criticizes the Supreme Court as Supreme Court had failed to provide the respite to the migrant. Now, guys, first of all, these type of articles tend to be very much controversial as it is outrightly criticizing the highest judicial office. So, therefore, such type of things are not asked into the UPSC. However, briefly, we will see what has happened. Now, guys, as the exodus of migrant is continuing, there are various advocates which have made a plea into the Supreme Court onto the behalf of migrants. However, Supreme Court has not actively intervened into the matter. Now, if we talk about this particular issue, then the direction is being given from the center to the state. However, interstate migrant movement is an issue which belongs to the state. So therefore, different state government should have came in this particular regard. But this thing is missing. So again, the Supreme Court is silent here. Presently, their fundamental rights are being breached, particularly the Article number 21. But Supreme Court has not given active direction on this matter also. Then, when the lawyers are approaching the Supreme Court is making various excuses. For example, it is making a kind of a reason that merely on the basis of a report, the lawyer cannot approach the Supreme Court. Secondly, they are saying that the direction should come by a law from the government. Therefore, Supreme Court is not intervening. Now the issue here is that Supreme Court is forgetting their own record. For example, into the Vishakha guidelines, there was no law, but still the Supreme Court provided the direction with respect to the rights against the sexual harassment at workplace. Secondly, there are various environmental policies which had came even when the law is not there. So Supreme Court has a record of coming out when there is no law, and now the Supreme Court is forgetting that thing. After that particular thing, PILs are not being held in regard by the Supreme Court, which are the weapon of justice for the downtrodden. So the PILs concerning the migrants are not taken care of, whereas the PILs with respect to the BCCI or famed journalists are being treated adequately by the Supreme Court. Now, friends, into this particular time, the high courts are performing relatively well, and the four high courts, particularly that is the Karnataka, Madras, Andhra Pradesh, and Gujarat, have asked the questions from the government with respect to the migrant rights. Moreover, Madras High Court has also upheld the right of a press to report onto these kind of events where the Supreme Court had not came for active rescue. So, guys, in this particular direction, Supreme Court might have failed into the event of crisis. So, guys, this was all about this. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, this particular editorial talks about the agricultural reforms which have been announced recently. Now, friends, if I tell you the climax, this article is a little bit critical about the government and propagates the earlier system. First of all, friends, will see the basic. Now, there are three things. First of all, there is a poor farmer. Then there is an industry which needs the raw material from the farmer because it needs to manufacture certain products. Now, the industry has a concern that it should get raw material at the sustainable prices so that the final good which is produced is sustainable and it should be the cheap. Then the farmer also has a concern that the price that he is getting for his goods should be sustainable. So therefore, in order to achieve this particular thing, what we need to do, we need to make a mechanism, a platform where the farmer can go and can sell his goods at the good prices, and the same mechanism could also be used by the industry to procure the goods, and the price discovery for both should be sustainable. Now, with this idea into our mind, we came out with the concept of agricultural produce market committees. Now, as per this particular concept, in every state there will be a mandi, and this mandi will be a kind of a market where the farmer is have to sell his produce, and it is also the point where the other people such as industries or other retailers etc can also buy. Now, under the APMC Act, there is an obligation on the farmer that he is bound to sell here only. Why this kind of obligation on the farmer? Because there are so many money lenders who exploit the farmer, that farmer should sell his produce at the farm gate at throwaway prices or very less prices. So therefore, to deter that particular thing, farmer can only sell the produce into the mandi. Moreover, there also industries are safeguarded in this particular respect, because if there will be the private buying or any kind of thing, then industry will not be able to get the raw material at the fair prices. Now, further, friends, in order to operate into this mandi, the retailers, etc., they need to take the licenses, and the farmer he need to pay the fees when he is entering the mandi with his produce. And all the money which is collected by this particular mechanism, that money is used to make the infrastructure such as storage units and all these kind of things into this mandi. Now, the thing is very good and it looks very rosy onto the paper, but when we come into the real condition, then a problem happens, and that particular problem is that system of APMC has turned to be exploitative. Why? Because here now the farmers are forced to sell their produce into one particular mandi, and therefore they are not able to venture the different other buyers where they can get the better price. Moreover, guys, right now there are large MNCs which directly wants to procure from the farmers, and they want to go into the long term contracts with the farmers. They also can't do that particular thing. Why? Because they are bound to sell into a specific mandi into their region. Then the second problem is that, guys, the mandi operators or the wholesalers into the mandi, they have become the exploitative forces, and they force the farmer to sell their produce at to the throwaway prices to them. So earlier, what the money lender was doing at the farm gate, the same thing is being done into the mandi. Thirdly, I have told you that the farmer they need to pay the fees to enter the mandi, and often this fees is actually a kind of an additional burden onto the farmer, due to which the price discovery becomes even less effective. So therefore, from long, the need for the APMC reforms is going on. And guys, in this particular direction, in 2003, the central government also came out with the Model APMC Act. Now a question come, why Model APMC Act? Simple, because agriculture is a state subject. So therefore, state only can make the law onto the agriculture. So in this particular direction, the central government comes with a kind of a model act and asks the state government, please make your law like this particular model, but ultimate authority lies onto the state. Now, friends, as the part of this model APMC Act, features such as contract farming was allowed here. Then the concept of single fees for a mandi came. Then there was a concept that there should be the separate mandi for the perishable goods. So these certain kind of reforms were made here. Now, friends, if we talk about the present reform under Atmanirbharta Abhiyan, where the government has brought the agricultural reforms, many people are calling these agricultural reforms as 1991 of the agriculture sector, because in 1991 the LPG reforms occurred, due to which large economic gains came. But according to the editorial, the reform is nothing like the 1991 moment for agriculture. Why? Because if we see this particular reform, then here three changes for the agriculture have been made. First of all, changes into the APMC Act. Second is the changing into the Essential Commodities Act. And third is the provision with respect to the contract farming. And according to the government as well as thinker, the most important in these three is the APMC. Now, keeping this thing into our mind, if I tell you the ground realities, then friends, in 2003, Model APMC Act came, and more than 17 states have already amended their APMC Act. Moreover, there is Bihar, which has together repealed their APMC Act. Then the Kerala, they also don't have any APMC Act. Then there are the liberal states such as Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Karnataka. They have allowed the direct selling of the agricultural produce. So a question comes that why still the APMC is being accused for the agrarian crisis? It is just like using the name of Gabbar to scare the people when Gabbar had already died. Now, moreover, if we take the example of states who have repealed the APMC Act, for example, Bihar, then we will find that even after repealing, no respite or benefit have been received for the Bihar. Now, friends, earlier, under the APMC Act, a fees was to be collected for the entry. Then the traditional argument was made that if we will repeal the APMC, then the private sector will come and they will bring their own investment by which the new infrastructure for the mandis will be built. So this was the basic assumption, and keeping this thing in mind, APMC was repealed. However, what exactly happened into the Bihar? Now there have been no institutional infrastructure with respect to the mandis. Earlier, the fees which was being collected was used to construct the road, to construct the sheds, but now as there is no fees, there are no such type of infrastructure. And now there are so many private traders, so large traders are there, that altogether they are exploiting the poor farmer and no benefit has been gained. And finally, the grand conclusion is that, guys, 80% of the small and marginal farmer, they never sell their produce into the APMC mandi. So the argument of accusing APMC as the villain is again wrong. So now a question comes that what exactly is then the problem in agriculture? So there are two things which have been suggested by editorial. Number one is the inflation targeting. Now, friends, it will look strange, but many a times if you will focus too much onto the inflation, it will also turn to be a disadvantage, because if there is a little bit price rise, then it turns as an incentive to the producers. But now government is so much concerned with inflation that there is no inflation into the agriculture, and therefore the price discovery by the farmer is actually turning to be disadvantageous for them. Second reason is that there is simply no demand into the economy. Why? Because incomes are falling, because there is no employment, and in that capacity, again, the price offered for the agricultural produce will always be less. So therefore the responsibility of government should be to enhance the fiscal spending so that more money comes into the hand of people, and by using that money they raise the demand of the agricultural produce, and so that the farmer can receive a better price. So guys, this was the holistic picture about this entire issue, and now we'll move to the next. Now, guys, we come on to the page number 9, and here is an important news. Now, guys, Jairam Ramesh was earlier an environment minister. So, therefore, he had raised certain concerns with respect to the clearances of environmental project which has been given. Now, guys, what has happened? Recently, more than 100 projects have been given the environmental clearances, and certain of environmental projects are very much ecologically sensitive. Now, in this particular thing, what has happened, due to the lockdown, virtual meeting of environment ministry is happening, and into this virtual meeting, on the basis of document that have been uploaded by the developers, the permission has been given. Now the issue comes that how you can appraise whether a project is problematic to environment or not without actually visiting that particular place, and this particular thing raises a lot of controversies. And now, as a part of controversies, public outrage has also started, and the online campaigns such as Stop Ethylene, Save Dibang, Save Arunachal Pradesh Biodiversity, all these things are uproaring into the social media. Now, guys, basically, the process which has been adopted by the Environment Ministry is against the Supreme Court's guideline into the Lafarge judgment. Now, under the Lafarge judgment, far reaching consequences were laid down by the Supreme Court. First of all, it was said that when any environmental project is being given clearance under the Forest Conservation Act 1980, the National Forest Policy should also be avoided, which lays down various principles. Secondly, there is a need to appoint a national regulator for appraising the projects, and it will enforce the environmental conditions for the approval, and if there are certain problems, then penalties can also be imposed. Then there should be the panel of accredited institutions which will see what is the impact of the project onto the nearby environment. It is called as rapid environmental impact assessment. Now friends, what has happened when the clearances are being given onto the virtual meets, majority of these judgments are not being fulfilled. Now you don't need to mug up these judgments step by step, point by point, but only if you will mention the name of Lafarge judgment, your answer will get a kind of an authenticity into your environment questions. Now, friends, sites in controversy are the this is the Debang Valley in Arunachal Pradesh. Here, a hydroelectric plant is being proposed, which is also called as Etalin Hydroelectric Plant, and it was much repeatedly into the news. So, guys, please remember the Dibang Valley. Dibang is also the tributary of Brahmaputra. After that, there is a coal mining proposal into the Dehang Patkai Elephant Reserve. So there are 32 elephant reserves in India, and Dehang Patkai is one elephant reserve into Assam. So here a project is going on. Then there is highway project through the Bhagwan Mahavir Wildlife Sanctuary in Goa. And the fourth one is a limestone mining into the Gir National Park in Gujarat. Friends, if you are following my mapping Indian mapping series, then all these protected areas we have already covered there also. However, this is the location which I have told you now. So please remember all these issues, and now we'll move to the next news. Now we'll take a news item from international page. So here China has accused USA that USA is pushing China to the Cold War era. Now, due to present crisis, the USA is the worst impacted country where more than 1 lakh people have died. So into this particular thing, USA is putting the blame onto the China and had often called the virus as Chinese virus. And according to China, this particular is the desperate attempt of USA in order to hide their own failures to contain the particular pandemic. Moreover, according to China, the present pandemic is also being used as an excuse to overpower the rising clout of China. So, therefore, an identity crisis is being fixed by the USA. And in that particular bid, various sanctions have also been challenged onto the China. So, this particular thing is proving that the relations might be deteriorating after a particular time. Moreover, in order to see as clean, China had also recently allowed WHO to carry a assessment of China whether some information was hidden by the China or not, and had also invited the foreign communities to come and investigate the case of China. Moreover, there often has been the name of Wuhan lab into the middle of controversy, where it is was being said that into this Wuhan lab the bat as well as the SARS virus both were being kept, and here a kind of a mutation held, and from here the virus was leaked to the Wuhan wet market. But this particular link has also been denied by the China, and it is saying that China's image is being politicized just to seek certain gains into the upcoming elections of America. So here China has snugged off all the allegations which has been levied. So this was all. Now we'll move to next. Now, friends, here's a small update. North Korean leader Kim Jong Un had made a rare appearance into the media and had talked about enhancing their nuclear deterrence capabilities, and how the nuclear deterrence capabilities will be enhanced by building more stockpile of the weapon as well as by enhancing their arsenal. Moreover, it has also been discussed that the country should be put onto the strategic armed forces and a high alert operation should be started. Now these particular things are going against the normal routine, because into the recent times both North Korea as well as USA had came to a negotiation table with respect to the disarmament of the North Korea, and the progress, little progress, was also going on to this particular regard. And into this particular background, such kind of announcement looks little bit strange, but strangeness is the hallmark of the North Korea. Meanwhile, updating about the COVID 19, it has been said that there are no cases of COVID 19 in North Korea. But according to South Korea, definitely North Korea had faced an outbreak and might be hiding the real numbers. So, friends, this was all about today's newspaper discussion. I hope you're liking it. Thank you so much.